When I first heard that there was a bill allegedly titled Don't Say Gay in Florida, I did not believe that's what the bill was actually called. The reason I thought this is because the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, is one of the few governors in America who has not transitioned into a tyrannical dictator. I did not believe that he would pass a bill that prohibits people from saying specific words because that violates the First Amendment. So I did what about maybe 7 Americans did, which was find the actual title of the bill and read it for myself. Welcome to another edition of Systemic Stupidity, where we systematically discuss the systemic stupidity happening in America today. Today's systemically stupid topic is, how could a bill that never mentions the word gay be titled Don't Say Gay? If you were going to pass a bill prohibiting the utterance of a single word, wouldn't you need to put the word you were prohibiting in the bill? As I suspected, nowhere in the bill does it mention the word gay. Yet, annoyingly, we have news outlets everywhere who are spreading this fake title around like it's wildfire. Obviously, the media is trying to garner outrage from the general public who never bothered to read the bill. The first 4 headlines are portrayed here, and as you can see, the majority of the headlines show the protests and the outrage about the bill. NPR, which stands for National Public Radio, had a headline using the fake title. This is what happens when your media company values ratings over the truth. Let's see what NPR has to say. Teachers fear the chilling effect of Florida's so-called Don't Say Gay law. I should mention in the caption here, NPR does manage to list the actual title of the bill in size 5 font, which tells me that they're pushing the false title as a narrative to cause outrage, as I said earlier. It says, President Poopy Pants called it hateful. We have a tweet here from President Poopy Pants. He says, I want every member of the LGBTQXYZ $sign community, especially the kids who will be impacted by this hateful bill. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Okay. President Poopy Pants called it hateful. Really? Parents having rights over what their children are taught in school is hateful. Does that sound hateful to you? Even if you're not a parent, as I am not, I would hope that when a parent drops their child off at school that the child would be learning good things. Imagine this scenario. Pretend if a parent dropped their child off at school, and then their teacher was teaching the kids how to dismember a body. Then the teacher tells the class, now don't tell your mommy and daddy because what happens in the classroom stays in the classroom. Would the parent be wrong in getting upset at the school for having such a ridiculous curriculum? Would the parent be wrong in getting upset that the teacher told the child not to tell? I don't think so. I think that parents would have every right to be upset that their child was being taught something evil. Before I go on with this NPR article, let's talk about what the bill actually says. It says that parents will have the right to be notified of anything regarding their child's overall well-being. If there are any issues with a child's well-being, the school district cannot hide it from the parents and should encourage the child to talk to their parents. Children who are in an abusive family situation are the exception. In that case, the information can be withheld. The bill says that school districts cannot give students creepy questionnaires and then instruct the students not to tell their parents about it. The bill says that the school district is not allowed to force teachers to withhold information from parents regarding their child's well-being. One of the key things about this bill is this. Classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students in accordance with state standards. Okay, so that's what the bill says. And I paraphrased from Florida Senate's website because they had some legalese wording, so I made it simpler to understand. But it's the same ideas. I didn't change any of the ideas that are in the bill. So, back to the NPR article. We have a teacher who is 1, misunderstanding the bill, and 2, extrapolating nonsense from what the bill never even said. Paula Stevens says teaching about sexual orientation and gender identity isn't part of the first grade curriculum. I have a question, okay? If Stevens isn't even teaching what the bill prohibits, why is she upset about it? This next quote is the nonsense Stevens extrapolates from the bill, which she probably didn't read. It makes me wonder when I talk about families in my classroom, am I going to be violating this law because the children were having discussions about what their family looks like? The answer is no, Paula. If you don't teach sexual orientation and gender identity to your kids, then you won't be violating this law. It's very simple. Nowhere in the bill, and I read it, does it say that you can't talk about families. But articles like this from NPR, which is a left-leaning company at this point, likes to convolute everything and make mountains out of molehills. I'd also like to point out the hypocrisy of this article. The article interviews teachers like Paula Stevens who say they're not teaching sexual orientation and gender identity in schools, but then later on in the article, it says, the law will effectively muzzle any discussion of sexual orientation or gender identity. So, I thought you said you weren't discussing these topics. And maybe Paula Stevens isn't, but is someone else doing it? Are you discussing them or not discussing them? Which one is it? Either you are teaching these things and you're mad that you can't, or you're not teaching them, in which case this law won't affect you at all. Another teacher, George Botello, who teaches 8th grade American history, says, will it be considered age appropriate to tell his students that the Revolutionary War hero Prussian General Friedrich Wilhelm von Steuben, that's quite a name, is widely believed to have been openly gay? The answer, in my opinion, to this question is not one of age, but relevance. Ask yourself if what you want to teach is relevant to the subject that you are teaching. Is it relevant to American history to know the sexual orientation of a historical figure? I don't think it is relevant. I'm pretty sure that when I learned history, who the person did or didn't sleep with, or who the person was attracted to, wasn't part of the information given to me. Yet I never felt like any information was missing. A historical figure usually makes it into history for doing something, not someone. This General von Steuben person is also described by Botello as a Revolutionary War hero. I feel like teaching the information of why General von Steuben is a hero might be what the students should actually learn. As a side note, Botello also says this. When you look back in history, there's clear examples of how these different groups that are being attacked today actually helped form our country. They're a part of our story. When I read this quote, I was annoyed and felt the quote was laughable because the only attacks happening on people who had a hand in forming our country are people like Christopher Columbus, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, and any other European conqueror or great past president who gets their statues taken down. That would be an attack. They helped form our country too. But leftists like Botello are completely fine throwing those guys under the bus. Teachers are not the only people up in arms about this bill. Disney, which is located in Florida, has been heavy on the gender identity ideology for a while. Disney employees walked out when they felt like the company wasn't mad enough about the bill. I don't understand the attitude people have now. I heard it first with feminists who would tell me, "Why aren't you mad about that? It affects women." It's this attitude that everyone has to feel the same about something if they're perceived to be in the same identity group. It's an attitude that goes against individualism and free thought. Just because I'm a woman doesn't mean I agree with every woman who ever lived. It also doesn't mean that I have to be upset about the same things that women are upset about. So these Disney employees who were upset that the company didn't oppose the bill to the level they wanted the company to are narcissists. They think their opinion is the one everyone has to follow. A YouTube channel, Politizoid, put out a video called "It's a Woke World After All," which is a parody of "It's a Small World After All." The video has a lot of messaging in it that reflects the culture of today, so make sure to pay attention to the little signs in the video as you watch it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to It's a Woke World.
Destruction be our lot, we ourselves must be the authors and finishers.
It's a world of power, a world of fears, and we work long days to make souvenirs. All the millions have died, and the weakers aside, it's a woke world after all.
Also, go to this link to watch the full video. Politizoid has a lot of fun animations like this with messages, lessons, which we are sorely missing from today's entertainment. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming. From conservativebrief.com, there's another article that says Disney will no longer use boys and girls at Disney will no longer use boys and girls at any park greetings to promote inclusivity. This is only one in a slew of many overreactions Disney is having to the parental rights and education bill, because apparently Disney doesn't believe in parental rights or the simple fact that boys and girls exist. Who is their target audience for their parks then? Who knows? Let's listen to this diversity and inclusion manager, Vivian Ware, talk about this. I'm sure she'll clarify everything.
Last summer, we removed all of the gendered greetings in relationship to our live spiels. So we no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We've provided training for all of our cast members in relationship to that. So now they know it's hello everyone or hello friends. We are in the process of changing over those recorded messages. And so many of you are probably familiar when we brought the fireworks back to the Magic Kingdom. We no longer say ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we say dreamers of all ages. And so I love the fact that it's opened up the creativity, the opportunity for our cast members to look at that. We have our cast members working with merchandise, working with food and beverage, working with all of our guest facing areas where perhaps, we want to create that magical moment with our cast members, with our guests. And we don't want to just assume because someone might be in our interpretation, maybe presenting as female, that they may not want to be called princess. So let's think differently about how do we really engage with our guests in a meaningful and inclusive way that makes it magical and memorable for everyone.
Well, as I suspected, that clarified nothing. I don't really see how this overreaction has anything to do with the actual bill. It's typical, though. Disney is very into this worship of gender ideology, and they think the more they refuse to call boys and girls what they are, the more woke points they'll get. From who, I have no idea. One thing I do know, though, is most Americans don't want this crap. So no one will be hearing the greetings anyway because no one will want to go to Disney World anymore. I'd like to say again, too, that I hate the word inclusivity. Changing the language only appeals to the gender-neutral people. The rest of us don't want to talk like that, so we'd rather be excluded than included. Promoting inclusivity does nothing but exclude, so it has the opposite effect for what it says it wants. I went on the Disney website to see what they had on there, and as I suspected, they had all kinds of virtue signaling about diversity and inclusion and representation. And that's all they care about, apparently. Then I found this really creepy picture. When I think of Disney World, I think of actors walking around in Cinderella outfits and taking pictures with kids because that's what I did when I went to Disney World as a kid. Minnie and Mickey would also walk around. It was fun. This is Disney World now. It looks like a creepy cult. Just look at them. What are they even doing? They have their arms all raised in the same position like they're worshiping something. Gender ideology, probably. They all have face diapers on for whatever reason. Maybe this was taken in 2020, I don't know. I have always been against face diapers, but the only semi-acceptable reason for them to be wearing face diapers in this photo, and I say semi-acceptable, is if it was taken in 2020. Also, what's with the random dog next to the wheelchair? How come the dog wasn't forced to raise his paws in the cultish worshipping gesture? If you look too, you can see they've put people standing in the picture according to their victim status. 2 men are a little further back than the woman over here, and then the white woman not in a wheelchair is over here, way in the back, blocked by the woman in the wheelchair and the dog. The white woman in the back doesn't even get her own visible position. She's forced to stand behind the disabled person and the dog. Also notice how they leave out a white man. I wouldn't be pointing this out if it wasn't such obvious critical race theory put into practice, but because it is, I'm gonna mention it. This is a creepy, disgusting photo, and it does not make me want to go to Disney World. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. This photo makes me embarrassed that Disney owns Marvel. Statement from the Walt Disney Company on signing of Florida legislation. Florida's HB 1557, also known as the Don't Say Gay Bill. I love how Disney uses the fake title because it seems like they're afraid of the real title. Notice how they use the code number for the bill, but they don't say the real title. I think they're hiding the fact that it's got the words parental rights in it, because who goes to Disney World? Usually parents with small kids. What does the bill cover? Parental rights. So parents with small kids going to the Disney website and seeing that would probably be curious about a bill with the words parental rights in the title. I think Disney is purposely hiding the title of the bill so parents going to their website won't see what it's called and then question why Disney would oppose a bill regarding parental rights. I think that will do it for this video. I hope that informed you a little bit about the Parental Rights and Education Bill. Remember to check out the Politizoid It's a Woke World After All video. Thanks for tuning in to Systemic Stupidity, where we systematically discuss the systemic stupidity that is plaguing America today. Have a good night.